That's M&M's numbers for you. We've had a whole host of numbers, big sort of heavyweight numbers coming in today. SBI, of course, also the market's happy with. M&M as well right now. Markets seem to be giving it a thumbs up, 3.5% higher for now. All right, now on to a Bloomberg TV India exclusive. Sources say the government has finalized a new national offset policy. The cabinet will approve this after most ministries have given their go-ahead for the ambitious bid to boost local manufacturing. Swati has more on that. Swati, take us through what this means.
Well, this is, of course, a very big move by the government where we are going to see the new national offset policy getting cleared. And in fact, cabinet is going to, finalize this very soon. What we understand and what we know from this is that what they're trying to do is ensure that all the, government and PSU bodies benefit from it in terms of the technology tie-ups that they could do with the foreign company. So what does this policy mean? It's basically saying that any foreign company which is setting up a manufacturing base in India or looking at investing in India will have to source 30% of, it is a mandatory clause that they're bringing in, 30% from the local people to ensure that there's a boost or manufacturing boost within the country. So foreign companies which have business propositions of 300 crore rupees and above will have to follow this. Now, that's a big push that we will see coming in. And what's interesting really this time around is that the sectors that we are talking about are quite relevant. We are talking of railways and other transportation, civil, aerospace, ports and shipyard, power, fertilizer, mining, medical equipment. You name it and you have it. So all the manufacturers, the key manufacturing sectors will be covered under this, which means that there will be a lot of push from the government to ensure that there is, this whole mandatory clause on bringing or making sure that there is manufacturing happening in India, and that in turn will help the economy really scale up. So that's the idea really.
Okay, we've got Harish HV from Grand Thornton online with us. Harish, just to get your perspective on the offset policy and the kind of impact it could have on getting things rolling.
Well, I think it is an interesting policy because it is clearly driven by the philosophy of the government to make in India. But one needs to see the details of this policy in terms of what it means. Is it that they want manufacturing in India? Do they want, or will it just become an assembly in the guise of manufacturing? And what time frame it takes? Because frankly, one has to look at it. If a company believes that it can manufacture a quality product in India at a reasonable cost, they will do it with or without an offset policy. The other constraint or thought they would have is on IP protection. And if these two are there, with or without this policy, manufacturing will happen in India. So that's something we need to look at.
Harish, I want to get your comments about how the government is looking at it and really approaching it. We know they have in fact said that it's not very easy to drop the offset clause, especially with the cost bit that's involved with it, and how the foreign companies will take it. They believe that the 8 to 12% cost escalation that they will see on account of this is something that will be compensated by the offset benefits. You think that will be attractive enough for foreign companies to come and invest here?
Well, like I said, people will invest if they believe it makes sense. If not, they will do it because of the pressure, but they will do it half-heartedly. They will look at, what is the time frame to do it? Can I do it later? What is the penalty for not doing? And, they'll start looking at all the details. So I think if we have a enabling environment for manufacturing here, regardless of offset policy, people will come.
Right. There are certain sectors that have been, excluded from here, which essentially are the defense, atomic energy, space and petroleum. Your thoughts about, the reasons that we are trying to, let them be out of it? Because obviously there were concerns around it when they were earlier being brought or were believed to be a part of this policy, right?
Right. So defense is already, there are enough places where there is already offsets, particularly in aerospace. But I think we are still yet to see some significant results or benefits of that policy in terms of on-the-ground manufacturing. There's been discussion, talk, but we are yet to see real manufacturing coming in these spaces, in spite of the offset policy.
Right. All right, Harish, we'll let you go. Thank you for your comments. But we have Mr. S. Hajra from the former CMD of Shipping Corporation of India. Mr. Hajra, coming to you, we know that this new national offset policy is now going to get the cabinet clearance very soon. Shipping or ship yards and port sector specifically, which has seen, a tough last few years. We've not seen a lot of investments coming in. How you think this will have an impact on the ports and shipyard sector?
Basically, as I look at it, shipping is completely international. It is a completely trade barrier-free industry where international competition is absolutely at its peak. So anything which increases the cost is almost impossible to be borne unless in the policy itself it is laid down that there is a direct support, budgetary support to offset such expenditure. And having said that, the other thing is that, of course, as far as particularly shipbuilding is concerned, shipbuilding is struggling in India as well as elsewhere because there is a huge surplus capacity of shipping tonnages everywhere in the world. So shipyards are really, dying for orders. So at this stage, if some policy restriction is put, I'm sure this will create some problem. But having said that, India is going in a massive way for Make in India approach, and which is good because after all, we have the largest portion of working population in the world. We are the major youngest country in the world with, our demography shows that the median age for Indians is just about 25. So definitely it is the manufacturing sector which really can create job opportunities because service, while giving a boost to the economy, cannot create exactly the same kind of job as can be done by the manufacturing sector. So it is very important for India to create jobs by healthy growth in the manufacturing sector. So offset policy is meant to give a boost to that.
Right.
So I think in principle it's a good policy, but one has to make sure that, there is no cost addition because it is such a intensely competitive sector that, the sector cannot afford to have any increased cost.
Right. So the part about the cost that you're saying, that has been sort of partly addressed by the Department of Commerce, who has, of course, sought all the ministries' approval. And most ministries have given a go-ahead saying this, in turn, will be beneficial for the sectors. But, the fact about technology tie-ups, and that's really a bone of contention, or somewhere we've seen reservations coming in from foreign companies when it involves technology, high technology manufacturing capability. So what is your sense and how do you read this for foreign companies to look at it when it comes to India and really mandatory sourcing 30% of it to local or domestic players?
You see, technology tie-up is absolutely essential, particularly if you are going for niche sector. Let me talk about LNG shipbuilding. So technology tie-up is absolutely essential. And obviously the yards, the foreign yards which have the technology today, they will be not very happy to part with the technology because they are thereby creating competition for themselves going forward. But having said that, this is a new business for them also. So if they want to partake in that business, and if it is made a condition that the technology tie-up and the technology transfer is essential, I am sure on a commercial basis they will be eventually interested in it because let's talk about South Korean yards. We should not forget that South Korean yards also developed their technology through tie-up with the Japanese yards. So at one time, they also did not have the technology. They also borrowed the technology. They also learned it from Japan. And now, of course, because, Indian shipping sector is looking at this LNG shipbuilding in a very, very serious way. Obviously, the Indian shipyards also want to have technology tie-up with the South Korean yards. So this is an ongoing process. And after all, if our manufacturing can be made really competitive because of the advantage that we have in terms of labor cost, in terms of, comparative engineering skills which can be made available to even the foreign yards and foreign companies at a competitive price, I think if they definitely look that as an advantage, I'm sure they will be interested to come to India.
Right. Mr. Ajay, just last question, there's also been a very specific talk about how cross-sectoral linkages across organizations or departments have been incorporated in the offset clause. So that's what the new offset policy is also saying, which means that the high-value import, while could be made by one organization, the main contract may incorporate in it offset clauses that would serve the demands of other organizations. So there's a cross-sectoral linkages that have also been brought about. How do you think that will help the current situation?
I think it will overall help, because after all there could be specific situations where directly by the same sector, same company, this offset may not be feasible due to various constraints. But if there are more flexibilities through this cross-sector approach, cross-company, cross-sector approach, then I think it is far easier to implement that rather than making it very, very specific and very narrow.
Right. Thanks, Mr. Ajra. That's what I think everybody is talking about. How good is this policy in the spirit? But really, we'll have to wait and watch on how foreign companies take this, because it's something that's been in the works for the longest time. But what's good is that most ministries have now given a go-ahead. The cabinet seems to be approving it, and it is on the lines of the Prime Minister's this whole Make in India campaign to boost manufacturing, and that's what it aims really to do with so many sectors that we are talking about being involved in it. So I think in spirit, yes, it's good, but let's see and read the fine print when it comes out.
All right, let's take a quick break on that note. Up next, SBI's third quarter numbers meet estimates. The street cheers, stable asset quality gets you the management when we come back.